Just a reminder, if we could get everybody to silence their cell phones. Supervisor Miller, would you please? And to begin with, we'll have an invocation offered by our PCSO chaplain, Joe Samaj, after which we'll ask Supervisor McClure if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those who wish to participate, please stand.
Good morning, Board. Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. In the Scripture, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for the assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what's going good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there's honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what you benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city. In this I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
We'll now begin our Pinal County Supervisors Board of Meeting dated September 18th, 2024, Wednesday morning. We do have Supervisor Kavanaugh on the call-in, correct?
Yes, Chairman, we do.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. And I'm at an MRI, so I will let you know when I'm off the phone when they take me into the MRI.
Okay. Hey, thank you. Okay. To begin with, we've switched it up a little bit, as you'll notice on the agenda. So to begin, we'll start with our county manager's report.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. On the board meeting on November 4th, you approved a proclamation declaring the month of September as Workforce Development Month. We did not have this video ready and queued up at the time, so I'd like to play that one now if I could, and then do one more after that.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
It's your time.
This board is really very interesting because it's a real cross-section of the county. Members come from all over the areas that are really deeply involved in the growth of the county, from eastern end of the county through up the mining area, clear over into Maricopa and down to Eloy and Apache Junction and so forth. Gotten to meet so many of the employers that are coming into town, but not just the big names that we enjoy seeing, but it's the bread and butter of the small businessmen that are here, and we've had the opportunity to meet with them because they have needs too. And a lot of that in this day and age is survival for them. And we're giving them an opportunity, we hope, to be able to help them do that.
We are not a board that sits around and rubber stamps what the staff is doing. We have our own strategic plan, our own projects that we implement in order to support and expand the role of the services we provide. Actually, we think of it as having two customers. The one that people hear about probably the most is our services to job seekers. One of our services is just helping people figure out what they might like to do. And then our other group is the employers themselves. And so we help with setting up on-the-job training. We can help support training for existing employees. and just helping post job openings, that kind of thing.
Today, we're seeing where the communities are pulling together, the employers are pulling together. This employee doesn't fit in my position, but do you have something that it might work for? And we've been able to do a lot of that through this board and through the activities that we have.
The Workforce Board is very involved in improving people's lives so that they are able to make a living wage, support their families, do more than worry about where the next meal is coming from. It's a group where if you become a board member, you can actually make a difference in the lives of people in the county.
Thank you, Chairman. And then if you see down further on the agenda, we have another proclamation for this month as well around Arizona preparedness. And so we do have one more video. Arizona preparedness is a lot, and it's a lot more than just this video, but at least this video, I think, helps give us the spirit of preparedness.
Okay, thank you.
In 2022, there were election workers across the United States that unfortunately came in contact with substances that could have harmed them or killed them. And as an election administrator, it's my job to identify that and then talk about with staff what we need to do to keep them safe.
It is very important, especially the people that volunteer their time. They're here on their personal time, committing what is truly public service. They're making sure that our elections are fair and done competently, and they're out here volunteering their time for that. Of course, we want to benefit them with safety.
I reached out to the sheriff's office and asked if they could, one, present what it is to administer Narcan. I didn't know what it was, and to be able to describe the symptomology and how quick it can move.
The training consisted of is she pulled all her staff together and had them in one location, and then I went there and provided them with the information and the know-how to use the Narcan so they didn't have to worry about it if it unfortunately ever came to the event that they would need to use it.
He gave the training, and then he came with goodies, and he presented to all of the satellite offices different amounts of Narcan for our different offices. So now that we have it at the fingertip in the event that we need to administer it, keeping staff safe.
Whenever I give the training on Narcan, I always start off with, if anyone's ever used Flonase or a nasal allergy spray, you've already been trained on Narcan. It's just that simple. I mean, of course, there's some additional steps. One of the things to increase efficacy is to get the disbursement as far up the nose as you can. So this is actually meant to go against the nasal passages, the nose. You don't have to, a lot of people use their fingers here to endorse it. You can do it that way, but it's more effective if you just stick this up your nose and then press the red plunger button.
Sometimes an envelope will be leaking, or it'll be heavier, or it'll appear wet or faded. And those are sometimes, when somebody has entered a naughty substance into an envelope. So our staff needs to be able to identify that as they're working through the mail. During early voting and even some of our election mailers, we deal with tens of thousands of pieces of mail. So to be able to have that training on the forefront until we enter into that election cycle, and then that staff is able to provide OJT to our election cycle temps and our volunteers. It's just, again, another layer of care that we provide to staff.
And the best part about it is as far as whether it's Oxycontin, oxycodone, opium, any of those, it covers all them. It actually blocks the receptors of your body so that your body can't absorb it. It will not work on central nervous system stimulants like methamphetamine or cocaine, but there's no side effects. So the best thing is for a layman, for an untrained individual, if you feel or you reasonably believe that they are suffering from the effects of an opioid overdose, you can administer it to them. You're covered under the Arizona Good Samaritan law, and there's never been any documented cases of any negative use of Narcan. One thing that I like to get off as a public service announcement is for the employees and the citizens of Pinal County to know that don't stigmatize Narcan for illegal drug use. The one incident that I utilized Narcan in was there was an elderly gentleman. He had gotten knee surgery. He woke up in the middle of the night in intense, excruciating pain. He took his medication that the doctor prescribed him. He went to bed. A couple hours later, by our count, by the family's accounts, he woke up thinking it was the next day. He had forgotten that he'd already taken his medication, and he took it. He accidentally overdosed for it. Luckily, the wife was awake and coherent and recognized that he was having some issues. So don't stigmatize it by illegal drug use.
I think anything we can do to give our staff another layer of protection against the naughtiness, whether it's, screening our incoming calls, providing recorded surveillance around our facilities, giving them additional resource training, or even hands-on how to administer Narcan, that's our responsibility, and we take it seriously in Pinal County.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 2. Leo, presentation of certificates of employees that have been 20 years or 35.
Thank you, Chairman. We have the privilege of honoring 4 employees this morning. Our first employee has been with us for 35 years, is currently a customer service specialist senior in our assessor's office. Melinda, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Yucupicio. And is she here? And our assessor, Mr. Wolf.
Good morning, Board. I'm going to accept the award on behalf of Melinda and our office. She started in 1989 in the recorder's office and then transferred over to ownership transfers in the assessor's office and has been there ever since. And she's kind of the backbone of county government, someone who shows up every day, does their job, and knows it very well. And you have to have people who are, consistently there with historical knowledge. And so I'm glad that the county has given, and you've seen fit to give awards to employees who we value for stick-to-itiveness, if nothing else. So thank you very much, and I'll take the award, I guess.
Wait. You made her work, and she couldn't come in here?
She's shy.
Oh.
Well, even though she's shy, thank you to Melinda, and thank you, Mr. Wolf. Next, we have someone who's worked for the clerk of the Superior Court for 20 years, an administrative supervisor, Michael Federico. And I believe, is Ms. Padilla our clerk of the court here?
Good morning, Board. I want to just thank you for allowing us to be here today to acknowledge Michael. But Michael has been, he has dedicated his 20 years of his life to the county, but to the clerk's office. He has spent the last 8 years as a supervisor for my file and exhibit department, which is my vault department. Throughout Michael's time in the clerk's office, he has worked really hard to gain valuable experience and knowledge regarding the duties that are performed in this department. Michael has such a strong dedication and such a strong heart for both my organization, but especially for the team that he supervises. There is nothing that he would not do for them, working alongside them, coming in sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning when we need him to, staying late. He just will always go above and beyond for my organization, but especially for his team members. For the last 20 years, I've also been very grateful to have had the privilege to work alongside him. And he's just such a wonderful person to work for. And Michael, we're very, very proud of your service, and we're proud of you achieving such an important milestone today. And we're happy that he was able to be here, and his family and his loved ones are able to share in such a wonderful day with him. So we just want, on behalf of the clerk's office and myself, we want to just congratulate him and thank him for his service to the county and to the court. Thank you, Michael.
Oh, excuse me. When I quit.
Thanks again, Michael and Ms. Padilla. Next, we have an employee who's been with us 20 years as well and works as a maintenance technician in our housing department, Johnny Hernandez. And I believe, is Ms. Cephas, our housing director, here with us? Is Johnny here? Okay, we got a lot of shy people here on today's list, but
Stop fixing stuff.
But Johnny, thank you for all your hard work and dedication and for all the service that you provide for those in need that take advantage of our housing services. Next, we have a sergeant who's been with us 20 years, Sergeant Christopher Martin. I do not think that he's here, and I believe Chief Thomas is running a little bit late, so won't be able to make comments. But if no one's here, then thank you, Christopher Martin, for your dedication and for your service to our county.
You ready to take a shot?
Yeah, picture time.
Okay.
To your left just a little. There you go. And you guys look great. Let's do one of these. And 3, 2. Beautiful. One more time because you look so good today. 3, 2. One more. There we go. Thank you.
Nice picture. Look at this, Goodman.
Okay, let's go to item number 3, which is Supervisor District Updates. We'll begin with Supervisor Kavanaugh. You still there?
Yes, I am. I have no updates.
Supervisor McClure?
I'm boring. I have no update as well.
Supervisor Surtee?
Yes, I have a couple. Highway 88 Fish Creek Hill did get opened, and it's traversable now, four-wheel drive only, no trailers, and so that's good news, and then we'll see how that works. We'll go from there. Also, District 5, especially highly vegetated, we just came out of, well, the fire's still burning in the interior of the mountain, but with the siphon fire, you know, the ready, set, go system got to set for a lot of the residents up against the mountain, and a lot of worry. A lot of volunteers came forward because there's a lot of horses in that area. A lot of people were volunteering, hey, bring them to my corral, bring them here. And a lot of people just communicate among themselves, but they don't know how to get the news. That's the true news. So Pinal County, we actually have a system, if you sign up for it, called PENS, which is Pinal Emergency Notification System, but you have to sign up for it. How do you do that? So we have a video showing how to sign up for that, and this can make the whole county safer and more communicative, but flooding, fires, a lot of the natural things that happen in the mountainous areas. So, Natasha, if you have that video ready, how do we do this?
My name is Courtney Prock for Office of Emergency Management. So the purpose of Office of Emergency Management is preparedness, planning, and we also are reactive to disasters. We help support local jurisdictions that are requesting our support.
This is a test from Pinal Emergency Notification System.
PENS is Pinal Emergency Notification System. It is a system where we can notify the public of any emergencies. At the click of a button, everybody will get the notification via text, phone, or email, however they subscribe to PENS. To register for PENS, you will go to pinal.gov, and if you scroll to the bottom of the page, it has a Pinal Emergency Notification sign up if you click on that link. So you will type in your email address, and then you add your phone number, and you will create a password. Click on I'm Not a Robot and register. Here you will fill out your information. You get to choose your language of how you would like the notifications. If you do choose to have a text, you make sure that that is checked. Please make sure you enter your address. This way we can send you any notifications of emergencies in your area. If you have a special need, if you are being evacuated or need more information, please make sure that you check any of these. This is optional. You do not have to check any of these. Once your account information is correct, you can click on the notifications and you can choose here how you want to receive the notifications. If you do not want one, you will just uncheck it and hit update. Here also is information on what you would like to receive. If you want to receive notifications for everything, you can click it here. You are able to pick and choose what you want to receive notifications for where you live. If you are in a territory, where you have to be careful if there's going to be a fire, you can put fire weather watch. If you are only in the lower desert and want to know about floods and dust storm warnings, you can choose those. Once they're chosen, you just update. But this is all up to you and how you choose to get notifications and what you get notified for. So the advantage of having PENS is you get to know what is going on in your community. If there is an emergency or something very important going on in your community, you're going to be notified right away. So for example, if there was a flooding event, we can draw on the map. We can geofence an area of what area needs to be notified, and they will get it immediately. And we can pinpoint down to a street, a house, if we needed to notify these citizens. Check your address to make sure it is correct. This way you will get all notifications affecting your community. PENS is a very valuable tool for the citizens of Pinal County. These messages that are crafted that go out to the citizens are directly from an elected official or a director that is trying to get the message out to the citizens. They're always very, very important information we're trying to get to the public.
Thank you.
That was informative. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of events I'd like to announce. This Saturday, the 21st, out at Dave White Park, they're having an in-service day. It's a volunteer, anybody from the community can come out there. One of our community leaders, Scott McEwen, has organized this thing over the years. It was kind of in tribute to the 9/11. But anyway, at 7 a.m. at Dave White Park in Casa Grande, they'll have an in-service day, and everybody will volunteer to do different things throughout the community. It's very well organized. And on that same day, Hispanic Heritage Day will be celebrated at Randolph. They'll have a little festival going on there from 4 to 9 on the corner of Newman and Kennedy, but at Randolph. So if you'd like to participate or go and celebrate on that Hispanic Heritage Day in the little community of Randolph, you can see some of the good work that has taken place out there. So that's what I have for today.
Thank you, Supervisor. Going back to what Supervisor Surtee just did, I think it's important that we get this message out to a lot of the citizens. I know I have access to a lot of citizens in Santana Valley that I think it'd behoove all of us if we've got those contacts to get this video out to everybody, and then the county as well. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Supervisor Surtee. On as far as district, what district am I? 2. As far as District 2, we had a couple of town hall meetings these last week, and we did some video on that. So Can we share that? If we have it? We'll get two. This was our town hall meeting. I'm up at Ocotillo and Schneff Road. We've got this kind of issue that's going on. For some reason, this just seems to be a place to dump. That's a big issue and a big problem that we have here in Pinal County, is what you see right here. We're going to start coming down on this stuff. So there's going to be some hefty fines that are going to come out as a result of what you see right here. We're taking an initiative to clean this up and keep it clean.
This particular enclosure has been a problem for us. One of the places that we've identified to where we need to monitor it. We've just started putting the cameras up, so we have them in different locations. So on our camera, it showed that their van was here that early morning, and I thought it was somebody just dropping stuff off. So I watched on the camera waiting to see the people, and I didn't see anybody. And there was a sign in the window that said that the battery was dead, please don't tow, they'd be back in the morning. So I called Pinal County Sheriff's Office, and they responded, and while we were here, the two ladies showed up that had the van. The stuff that they dropped off, the one lady who did not own the van, it had her information on it, and the other woman owned the van. They were eventually cited, and they'll have their day in court. Memorial Day weekend was probably one of the worst since we've started to monitor it. This enclosure was probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the way full of trash, and then there was enough trash and furniture outside of the enclosure to probably half fill it again. People just think that they have extra trash, they don't know what to do with it, and so the decision is, well, I've got to get rid of it somewhere. But by doing so, you're taking the responsibility of getting rid of your own trash and putting it on the landowner. You can go on Pinal.gov, lists all of the transfer stations and landfills that you can take your stuff to. There's a nominal fee, but it certainly is a lot less expensive than if you get it cited for illegally dumping, because that is breaking the law.
I love the way the departments in the county all work together on this. Public Works has done a really great job of identifying areas. We go around and then we locate it, investigate, find out who the illegal dumper is, and then we go and contact that illegal dumper. So, ironically enough, we were filming a PSA this morning about illegal dumping, and Public Works came and reported to us that they have a repeat illegal dumper. So myself and a fellow deputy are headed over to the address that we found in the litter to confront the possible illegal dumper. Hey, I'm Lieutenant Tieper with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
We have a bit of an issue that we'd like to come and talk to you about, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Illegal dumping. We found your trash at a dump site that is not your trash receptacle, okay? And that's not allowed. In the most recent case, we went and contacted the lady whose name was on the trash.
That are ours?
Yeah.
Okay, my husband went the other night probably.
She readily admitted that her husband threw it away.
We need those
cleaned up.
Okay.
We allow our deputies to have discretion as far as enforcing minor criminal violations or traffic violations, but we don't want any citations. We would rather our contact to be informative, not punitive, so if he could please remove the trash, we would really appreciate it.
I apologize for wasting your time and having to come over here and warn us.
The deputy took the more prudent route of saying, if you want to clean it up right now, I won't have to issue a citation. They were intelligent and decided that they were going to come back and clean it up and not take the ticket. In most of the cases that we're seeing, they made no effort whatsoever to conceal the owner of that litter. They're just being brazen about it. And there's no sense in that. We are watching, we are monitoring, but the people can be the eyes and ears too. If you see someone doing that, we have the desert dumping hotline that you can call, or you can call the sheriff's office up. We take it very personally. There's nothing I hate more than someone going out and dumping their trash out in the middle of nowhere. We go out there and we see it. We only have one Arizona, we only have one Pinal County, and let's all keep it clean for each other.
Since we've been working on this particular project here, it's starting to slow down now. We're getting a handle on it. We're watching this place, and not just here, it's all over the county. We put cameras in these locations. We've already had officers go out and do door knocks. We've been pulling out all stops to make sure that this illegal dumping is stopped
And anybody that continues to do that, they will be prosecuted at the full extent. You wouldn't want somebody to come and dump garbage in your backyard. And that's why we as a county began doing cleanups, where people can come throughout the county and dump their garbage for free. Even our guys will unload it for them. There's no need for bringing it here or out in the deserts.
Well, that was short of a town hall meeting, wasn't it? It's one we all ought to do, but and I just informed that my town hall meeting's not ready yet. So anyway, so that's all my report is for this week. Thank you. Item number 4, the 2024 elections report on election preparations. This is information only. Ms. Lewis.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, members of the board, Dana Lewis, Pinal County Recorder. All righty, you going to do the clicky? Thank you. Here to report on the upcoming general election, give you some just overview of where we're at in the elections department and the Office of the Recorder. Major deadlines to be aware of course, October 7th is the voter registration deadline, as always 29 days prior to an election. October 9th is when early voting begins. That is when voters may go into any of the satellite offices and vote early in person. That is also the day that ballots are set out to mail. For those who will be receiving a ballot in the mail, it will sometimes take a couple of days to get that ballot in your hand. We ask that you please be patient with us. If you have not received it by the following Monday, then please reach out to the Citizen Contact Center, 520-509-3555, and give us a call, and we can go ahead and start tracking that ballot. October 25th is the last day to request a ballot by mail. October 29th is the day that we would like you to get that ballot back to us. November 1st is the last day to vote early in person, and of course, November 5th is Election Day. Any questions and frequently asked questions can be found at the pinal.gov Pinal Votes website. For those of you who don't know, yesterday was the National Voter Registration Day. A lot of interesting things happening around the county, encouraging people to make sure that their voter registration is updated, and if they're not registered to vote, we were present in a few facilities to make sure we could assist voters accomplishing this task. We also teamed up with the communications team, and they created these fabulous posters for us. They were put in satellite offices, public libraries, post offices, and then even some cities and towns have put them up as well. What's really great is the QR codes that you see on them will still, after the registration date, still be enabled so that people can register to vote, or if they want to review their voter information in the statewide portal. This Saturday is the deadline for UOCAVA ballots to be sent out. It is always E-minus 45 days from an election. For this one, September 21st, we will set the bulk of them out on Friday. We do have 445 UOCAVA voters in Pinal County, and we then kind of hover over the system to see if any last-minute requests have come in, and those will go out on Saturday. For those of you who are not aware, we've done some PSAs on that, but UOCAVA is the Uniform Overseas Citizen Absentee Voting Act. That allows for anybody who is serving their dependents or even people like reporters who are serving abroad still have the ability, if they're American citizens, to vote in our elections. The UOCAVA system allows us to expedite that process. Some things to be aware of. We thought you, like us, like numbers. So it is interesting to look at voter registration growth. People always talk about, the ebbs and flows in voter registration coming into especially a presidential general election year. So we went and we did some statistics. In November of 2020, we had approximately, the number says 248,874. Right now, we're over 300,000 registered voters. And it's also interesting to notice that between a primary and a general election, there is usually an uptick of registrations. Some people don't like to play in the primaries, but they will then become interested in a general election. So we do always see that influx between those two different styles of elections. We are currently receiving a high volume of calls. Again, I always want to encourage voters to please reach out to our offices, reach out to the Citizen Contact Center, the voter registration office, early voting, the elections department. We love being civically engaged with our voters. But these two questions have been coming in more frequently, and I think it's important to address them. Are Pinal County's voter rolls being properly reviewed and updated? If you've heard me speak, we don't do it yearly. I don't do it quarterly. We do it daily. We are required to maintain our lists. Recently, we received funding from the legislature, and we were able to send updated postcards. We did bulletin boards going into the elections. And all of this then also works with the postal system to ensure that we are maintaining our rolls, our voter rolls. And then, we want to always make sure that people who are eligible to vote have the ability to vote. We also want to make sure that people who shouldn't be voting aren't. And that all comes in with clean voter rolls. So these are the ways that we do it. Of course, there are laws that have been put in place over the years to ensure these processes are clean, secure, and that we are following the law in the state of Arizona. Some things that you guys need to be aware of. They're going into any election cycle. There is a multitude of mailers that are presented to voters, to the point where sometimes they become a little bit numb to the information that they're receiving. So if you see the Pinal County logo or the Pinal Votes logo, I'd like people to pause and look at the information. Due to some changes in legislation, specifically to Title 16, ARS 16163, now we are required to inform a voter anytime we touch their record and a change is made. So what we're going to do is send them a postcard and let them know that something came in, we updated their record, and they can go to these websites to check it. Because in the event it wasn't them, we want to make sure they have an ability to, in a fast pace, rectify that situation. Some other things in regards to documented proof of citizenship, we recently sent out about 1,200 mailers to voters who were currently listed as Fed voters. The reason for that is, who doesn't want to be a full ballot voter and be engaged locally in their local elections? So I think it's a really great idea to prompt them. So we sent the mailer out to let them know what they needed to do to become a full ballot voter. Also, under the recent changes with the courts, we are now sending out letters when somebody tries to register to vote and they haven't shown documented proof of citizenship. Again, we can send a letter and let them know what they need to do to update the state form and then provide documented proof of citizenship. This is not from the Office of the Recorder. Again, voters are going to be receiving multitudes of these type of mailers. Everybody's interested in getting everybody updated to register to vote. Some of these mailers come from out of the state. Some of them come from in the state. Some of them from your local party people. The big thing is to remember to please review the information that is on the inside of them. Sometimes they've been pre-filled. So we would like, again, for voters to pause, review the information that's on the inside before they ever turn it back in. And remember, we will never ask you for money to update your voter registration. I didn't know that County Manager Lou was going to play the video that he played earlier, but his timing was impeccable. Unfortunately, in what we do in the elections world, we receive, like you heard, some love letters. I don't know a nicer way to put it. Some ugly calls, and unfortunately, now in the state of Arizona, we have received these type of mail. It has been received across many states in America. It was sent to a physical address, not P.O. boxes. It's consistent with previous attempts that we as election officials have seen when they try to submit suspicious substances to our offices.
Please know that the Office of the Recorder, the Elections Department, our Threat Liaison Officer, the Office of Emergency Management, the County Board of Supervisors, and County Management take this extremely seriously, to include having done in-depth training with our staff. Right after we received the uptick in this information, we sent out the video that we had created with the Office of Emergency Management and Threat Liaison Officer to staff to remind them to ever be vigilant and know that we do follow strict protocols in identifying these parcels, and then, of course, all the multitudes of training. Voter outreach events. We had voter registration day yesterday. Our team is out, boots on the ground, making sure people are aware of the upcoming election, giving them trusted information about our election processes. And those in the community that would like to have the voter outreach van at an event can do so by going to the Pinal County Votes website. And here's just some of the events this week. Well, we recently worked with the party chairs, the Elections Department, Office of the Recorder, early voting and voter registration side to make sure that we had a conclusive form that is a one-shot form for anybody who is going to be a political observer in our spaces in the upcoming general election. What it does is it allows people to understand what the level of expectation is going to be when you're in our spaces. You are in a secured facility. We do ask for a certain level of distance just to make sure we're protecting the ballot and also our staff. But of course, these are the voters' elections. They need to be a part of these processes. And if, they're constantly being kept at arm's length, it's a little bit difficult to understand those processes. So we want them engaged in our process, again, establishing trust through transparency. And these forms have gone out to the party chairs, people interested in being a political observer in our spaces, that is during early voting, the provisional ballot process, central tabulation on election night, or even, through some of the other processes. We ask that you reach out to your party chair. They're the ones who can credential political observers only. Some of the places that you will see political observers and voting going on, of course, are at these locations where our satellite offices are. This is the Votes building, our Casa Grande office, Mr. Miller, our Santan Valley Recorder's office, where Mr. Goodman's staff is, Apache Junction in the complex with Mr. Surtees' area is, of course, Maricopa, where Supervisor Kavanaugh is, and, of course, Florence here, Mr. McClure. We have many locations for drop boxes in Pinal County. These, again, on recorded surveillance on county-owned property. We recently had individuals from the Saddlebrook area reach out and ask if we could, in an expeditious manner, put a ballot drop box out there. Currently, the only place where I have that we could put the recorded surveillance on county property is at that Oracle Justice Court. The area that we currently have a PCSO office is a leased facility, and so that means we have other obstacles. So we're going to work with that community to see if we can't do an outreach event to be able to work with them in the future. Again, it is a reminder to voters, Pinal County, by direction of the Board of Supervisors, is a precinct-based voting model. That means voters must go to their reported precinct on Election Day to vote at the polls. This is from an extract from the Elections Department website showing the list. If you're an Excel person, you can print the list and hand it out to your friends. Or you can even engage in the interactive map. And this is kind of a snapshot of that GIS system where you put in the upper right-hand corner your address, and then it tells you where your allocated voting location is. And of course, you can then enact some of the layers, which I think is pretty cool, and shows you what you're able to vote for there. And of course, elections means we need poll workers. Poll worker training will start here on the September 28th. We've been working vigorously to get to a really great training module. We actually will do Train the Trainer this Friday. And we're working to ensure that we have bipartisanship at all of our voting locations. That is our main direction. Of course, we want everybody to be involved in the process, and they can be, but wanting to make sure we have that balance between the two major parties at the polling locations of poll workers is absolutely required. This is a snapshot of some of the statistics that we've got currently for these polling locations. Election planning. Again, election planning isn't just every 4 years, right before a general presidential election. We start this process at least a year in advance. Many thanks to the Office of Emergency Management for assisting us in coordinating our biweekly meetings. We meet with department heads consistently to identify all the resources have been captured and that we're working as a team for free, fair, legal, accurate, safe, and secure elections. We have submitted our emergency tabulation plan and continuity of operations plan to the Secretary of State as required. Logic and accuracy testing for our machines will be on September 27th. That's our internal one. We take it kind of a step further. We're required to do a certain amount for the Secretary of State's office, which will be October 3rd, but we'll be testing over 4,000 ballot styles. For the general election, we have 275 voting style or ballot styles on this election. And one of the things that people always ask is, when are the quarterly reports coming out? For after the voter registration deadline, we get a few days to make sure we're up to date with everything that's come through the portal. And of course, the mass amount of paper voter registration forms. I believe when I left the office this morning, our chief registrar let us know we were at about 1,200 that we were processing just today. So we get caught up on that, and then sent them to the Secretary of State's office, wait certification, and then those reports will go out to the party chairs. We're at about 90% of election cycle temps. What is that? Why aren't we at 100%? Well, just as soon as you are about to onboard somebody, they have a life change and they go in another direction. So we're going to be working vigorously to make sure we fill that position. As I left, we were already working on some of our on-the-job training with our election cycle temps. Poll worker teams have been identified and will be presented to this Board of Supervisors at our next meeting. It's always a great thing to tell you when you're on schedule. So all deadlines with our vendors have either been met or exceeded, to include our ballot design and layout, election programming, test decks, sample ballots, tablecloths, publicity pamphlets, and our voter extract file went out to our vendor this Monday. There's a lot going on in the world of elections, and some who follow us in our social media know that there is a lot of activity in the elections department last week. I want to reassure voters that we communicate with this Board of Supervisors, with the county manager, with our city and town stakeholders, with the political party, and with voters every day, whether it be via text or email, phone calls, or being out and about in our communities. This is a daily occurrence, folks. It would be remiss for me not to mention an event that occurred yesterday. So those of you who follow the nightly news may have understood that we were informed by the Secretary of State's office yesterday that an issue stemming from a data information with the Motor Vehicle Division was caught by the election official at the county recorder's office in Maricopa. Litigation has been filed between Recorder Richer and the Secretary of State's office. The biggest thing to understand at this is that we're going to work with the Secretary of State's office and to ensure that voters at no point are compromised in this situation. We've already worked with our council to ensure that a letter has been sent to request access to the the list of voters that may have been implicated in this scenario, and that as soon as we have that list, we'll be working very closely with the voters of Pinal County to ensure that, again, we have free, fair, safe, accurate, legal elections, and that there is no chance that they are missed in any situation. Gentlemen, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
the presentation that Dana just presented on, it is attached to the actual agenda.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item number 5, discussion, approval, disapproval of requests for the Board of Supervisors to approve a proclamation declaring the month of September as Arizona Preparedness Month. Corey? Courtney, I'm in. It's Corey.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, members of the board. Corey Redden, Deputy Director of Public Health and Emergency Manager for the Office of Emergency Management. For the state of Arizona, September is recognized as Emergency Preparedness Month. So we have a county proclamation for your consideration and approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Second.
Do we have a, you guys are ahead of me. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. I thought I heard Supervisor Kavanaugh. Okay. Okay. So, it's been approved. Would you read it for us?
Yes, sir. By the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, Pinal County Preparedness Month Proclamation, September 2024. Whereas all residents of Pinal County are essential to statewide disaster readiness and are called to be prepared for any emergency, large or small. And whereas Pinal County experiences extreme weather, public health, and human-caused emergencies which can damage property and infrastructure and threaten the safety of Pinal County communities. And whereas emergencies and disasters can strike without warning, residents of Pinal County are encouraged to prepare their homes, businesses, and schools for emergencies. And whereas residents of Pinal County are encouraged to follow the 4 steps of emergency preparedness: develop a family communication plan, build an emergency go kit, learn the potential hazards where you live and travel, inspire others by your preparedness example. And whereas residents of Pinal County are encouraged to follow the 3 principles of Ready, Set, Go, evacuation protocol. Get ready by preparing now for what threatens your community. Be set by maintaining awareness of significant danger. And go, evacuate immediately when danger is imminent and life-threatening. And whereas the Arizona Departments of Emergency and Military Affairs, Health Services, Homeland Security, Insurance and Financial Institutions, Public Safety, Forestry and Fire Management, Agriculture, Office of Resiliency, Registrar of Contractors, Transportation, Water Resources, the Arizona Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters, County and Tribal Emergency Management Departments, among others, recognize the need for a whole community public education program about the importance of being prepared for any potential hazard. Now, therefore, we, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as Pinal County Preparedness Month and encourage all residents of Pinal County to develop their own emergency preparedness plans and supply kits, proclaimed this 18th day of September 2024.
Let's get a picture.
Okay.
Big smiles, 3, 2. Misha,
Good smile this time. 3, 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, Purchasing Division Report.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm Randy Stinson, Deputy Director with the Office of Budget and Finance, and I'm here to deliver your Purchasing Division Report for September 18th, 2024. So the board is requested to approve one competition and practical form for purchases over $100,000. The report includes one purchase order change requiring approval for PO 251142, which is for the Adult Detention Center Pods B and C upgrade project. In addition, there are 3 cooperative purchasing agreements between $100,000 and $250,000 that we are making you aware of. Lastly, the report includes information regarding 2 contracts that were signed by the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. And that concludes the report.
Do you have any questions from any of the board members? Supervisor Kavanaugh, are you still on?
I am still on. I have no questions.
Okay. So can I get a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the Purchasing Division report as presented.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're on to item number 7, consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or anybody from the public objects at the time that the agenda item is presented. Supervisor McClure has asked that item number D be pulled. I've asked that item number Q be pulled, and our county attorney, Kate Volkmer, has asked that AA be pulled. Is there any other, did you get it? D, Q, and AA. Is there any other items on the agenda that any board member would like to have pulled? County manager? Anybody from the public? Mr. Revelis?
Item
AA, okay, and we've got that pulled, and so he'll be talking about that, okay? All right. Is there any others out there? Okay, seeing that there's none, can I get a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent items A through AS minus D, Q, and AA.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? And that is unanimous. So, item number D, Supervisor McClure.
Thank you, Chairman. This is to recognize Mr. Gary Pronzo for stepping up to the plate and taking over a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission. He's got a storied past, I believe. 12 years in Florence on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and now he's agreed to step up to the county level.
Oh, good.
So I'd really like to thank him for that, and we have a certificate for him. And if Kevin's around somewhere, we'll get a picture.
Okay. What's Kevin around?
Well, we can do the motion.
Oh, let's do that
okay,
first.
everybody's scared. Okay.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
So, do we have a motion? Is there any other discussion in regards to this item?
Motion.
We have a motion then.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item D as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's unanimous. Okay.
Kevin around?
Here he comes.
comes.
Comes out of his dungeon.
Our county attorney had to go pull him out.
Looking good. And one. Love it. One more. 3, 2. Sorry, bear with 3, 2. Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. We depend on our citizens and their volunteerism that they give, and we appreciate those that step up to the plate. Okay, I've asked that item number Q be pulled because this is, since I've been in office, this is one item that we've been working on as far as roads in the Santan Valley area, and this pertains to the extension between extending Skyline all the way to, Skyline, all the way to Gansel Road. And so I just wanted to give our staff extra kudos on this one because they spent a lot of time and effort over the several years trying to get this pulled together and get it done, as well as getting the financing to make sure that it gets done right and properly. So I wanted to pull it especially for that. So if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion myself then that we approve item number Q as presented. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's unanimous. We have item AA that was pulled, and so if we could get would you like Mr. Revelis to come up first? Come on up, Mr. Revelis, and maybe you could start off, and then he can, if you have any questions or anything like that, he can address them when he comes up.
Roberto Revelis, resident of Gold Canyon. I support AA, but I also encourage that the public be provided information that results from these types of grants, because human traffic is a vicious practice and it's a horrific violation of the law. And it's important for the public to understand what are the push-pull factors in this vicious practice, who benefits, who loses. That kind of data, I think, is important for the public to learn.
Thank you. Those are good questions. Mr. Volkmer.
Chair, Board, Kent Volkmer, Pinal County Attorney. I first just really want to kind of state the obvious, I think that you all know, but sometimes the public doesn't appreciate. We have 2,200 employees that work for Pinal County. There's maybe 20 that appear here regularly that the public typically interacts with, but we have 2,200 people. And I just want to take a real quick moment. I'm going to answer all those questions, but I really want to really give a tip of the cap and a shout out to one of my employees, Salpy Stark. So we manage about almost $2.5 million worth of grants in our office alone. For 2 years, she has been working on this grant to bring money. This goes all the way back to Governor Ducey's last administration and the last budget that he put in place, and then both of the last 2 budgets to be able to get these monies available through the Department of Emergency and Military Affairs. It is sometimes very cumbersome. It seems like the goal line continues to move, but Salpy continued to work, and ultimately we were able to secure this $423,000 grant. And what I want to tell you just a little bit about this grant so you kind of can understand where it's coming from. Human trafficking is broad. Mr. Revelis kind of addressed it. A lot of times we think of sex trafficking, which is obviously part of it, but actually just the bringing of humans and human trafficking. We have labor trafficking. Unfortunately, our proximity to the border, our proximity to Phoenix, quite frankly, and Tucson, where we have Final Fours, we have Super Bowls, we have national championship games, that brings a lot of unsavory characters to our community. When those unsavory characters come to our community and there's a lot of money, sometimes there's very horrific incidents that take place. And the state tries to do a good job of training law enforcement, training prosecutors, but we could always get better. Because the reality is the bad guys are continuing to evolve, and we need to do the same thing. So we've been working, what we actually did is we partnered with APAC, which is the Arizona Prosecuting Attorney Advisory Commission. So that's who does all the training for attorneys and some of our law enforcement to do this joint grant. And essentially the $423,000 is going to be broken down this way. So there are 6 in-person conferences that are going to be hosted. And these are the topics. Victim Advocacy Conference. So specifically when we have victim advocates that are dealing with victims of trafficking, sometimes they are not the most easy to work with because of the trauma that they've experienced. They don't have a tendency to trust us, and sometimes making that connection and making sure we provide for them can be difficult. So we're doing a specific conference for victim advocates. We're actually doing a specific subsection in our annual prosecutors conference that's held every year. We're doing a specific training on utilizing technology to combat human trafficking. There's another in-person conference for human trafficking investigation and prosecution where we're bringing law enforcement collectively so we can get at this, to Mr. Revelis' point, from the ground up and to be able to figure out what's going on. We're also doing an in-person training on the intersection of drug and human trafficking. So those are all the in-person conferences, and those are 6 of them that this money's being used for. Separately, we have almost a dozen virtual trainings that are going to be there. So they're going to be recorded, live indefinitely, and be able to be provided to prosecutors. And the topics of those include the link between domestic violence and human trafficking, the introduction to trafficking, dispelling myths and misconceptions, ethical concerns for prosecutors in trafficking cases, a look at the intersection of identity theft and trafficking, serving marginalized populations within trafficking, using social networks to build a trafficking case, latest research and trauma-informed responses to trafficking, using AI and other advanced technology to fight trafficking, using financial intelligence in trafficking cases, trafficking and sexual abuse of boys, and using empathy-based interrogation in trafficking cases. The reason I'm bringing this forward is this board has been incredibly supportive of the law enforcement community dealing with these type of issues. I would point to our forensic nursing program that this board authorized, that we actually as taxpayers pay for so we can provide that service to our community. We've expanded our family advocacy centers, and we're working on bringing one to the Oracle community to bring it to the community. I mean, this is something that the board has been supportive of. I know our sheriff's department, our local police agencies have been supportive of, and this is really sort of the capstone that we've been working for a couple years. And this training isn't just for Pinal County. This is statewide training, and we're actually sort of leading the forefront. And that's why I really wanted to kind of talk about this. Hopefully this addresses a lot of the questions the public has. But this is the purpose of this grant, is to give prosecutors, to give law enforcement, to give those in the criminal justice field the education, the information, and the tools necessary to combat this evil. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any board members have any?
No.
And if I didn't say, Salpy Stark is the one I was trying to praise. I don't know that I actually said her name. So Salpy, if you're listening, thank you. Great work.
Mr. Revelis did that? Yes.
Head, come forth.
Yeah. No, you.
But it's important for the public to learn the information so that they can be supportive and not be confused about this issue. So publication of the data, I think, is critically important.
Thank you, Mr. Revelis. Did you want to respond to that?
Chair, I'll certainly pass that on. I actually have a call with our APAC director later today, and I'll talk about seeing if there's an ability to really sort of enmesh some public information as well, because I think he does bring up a great point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board.
Any other questions? Okay. Being that there's none, can I get a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item AA as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Let's move on. We're going to recess our Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting and open the meeting of the Pinal County Flood Control District of the Board of Directors. Is there, and it looks like on our flood control, we have 2 items that are consent items. So is there any items that any member of the Board of Supervisors would like to see pulled? County manager? Anybody from the public? Seeing that there's none, can I get a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve consent items A and B of the Flood Control Board of Directors meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's unanimous. We'll close our Pinal County Board of Supervisors Flood Control Board, and we'll open up now our Pinal County Health Service District Board of Directors agenda. So I've seen on this particular agenda, there are 2 consent items. Anybody from the board would like to discuss any part of this? County Manager? Anybody from the public? Seeing that there's none, can I get a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve consent items A and B on the Pinal County Public Health Services District Board of Directors agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. We'll now close the Pinal County Public Health Service District Board, and we'll reconvene our regular Board of Supervisors County meeting. Okay, we're on to item number 10 now, call to the public. Consideration, discussion of comments from the public. Those wishing to address the Pinal County Board of Supervisors may do so, and they need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing our staff to study the matter further or rescheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. We've got the rules of engagement. I always call them that, for call to the public, and just be respectful and so on and so forth when you come up here to, no matter what you speak to. So please remember that, okay? So I have 2 cards in front of me. I have Christine Lane, and I'm not for sure if this is on our agenda now or if this is an item that's been in the past. I think that is right. Okay, yes. Would you come forward? Just state your name and general area where you live, and then go on.
Okay, I'm Christine Lane, and I live in Johnson Ranch. And thank you for Chairman and Board of Supervisors for letting me speak. I'm here today to respectfully inquire about the recent vote held by the Pinal County Board of Supervisors regarding PZ-32-23 and PZ-PD-007-23 at the September 4th Board of Supervisors meeting. It is my understanding that an additional 18 objection letters were submitted on that date that should have been reviewed and taken into consideration before the Board of Supervisors voted on approving or denying that application. The Board of Supervisors did not ask the county's attorney's office if they had processed the objection letters during the meeting on September 4th. It was discovered that the Pinal County Attorney's Office only reviewed 44 letters that were submitted to them to determine if the properties, were within 300 feet of the proposed development. Gary Maudlin, Gene Stockton, and others in the Johnson Ranch community advised individuals to send an email to the Pinal County Planning and Zoning Department as well as to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors. If the County Attorney's Office did not review all of the emails and letters that were sent in, then not everyone who voiced their concern in opposition to this project was heard. I ask that the Pinal County Board of Supervisors do a complete audit of their email and recalculation of public objection letters that were submitted to the Board of Supervisors and the Planning and Zoning Department. There is a major concern in our community that several letters were not included in the tally. With 6,300 homes with a conservative estimated current market value of over $400,000 per home, that equates to over $2.5 billion already long invested into this community and being affected by the proposed 181 apartment development. Our voices should be heard. We at Johnson Ranch respectfully request the Board of Supervisors rescind their vote from September 4th. I have for you a spreadsheet regarding 9 properties within the 300-foot buffer that were not recorded. 8 of these properties had documents in the packages that the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Supervisors had when they heard the case, and I have one property owner's email that was sent prior but was not included in the package for September 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have George Ellison.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors. George Ellison, Gold Canyon. Make America normal again. It's an adaptation from The Vagrant of Rhodes. Nearly a decade after President Trump arrived on the scene, our social fabric has been torn to shreds by the left's perpetual cultural revolution. Trump's goal has been to protect the interests of the forgotten men and women of this country and to save them from the depraved death cult of leftism and to embody the hope of millions who just wish we could go back to a simpler time when America made sense. Our society's perception of normal has been so corrupted by the left that many people are incapable of even conceptualizing healthy human behavior. The left has tried to eliminate God, country, family, truth, honor, and duty. As John Adams said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. The left wants to toss out the Constitution so that we become a tyranny. The inmates run the asylum. Judges regularly release murderers onto the streets. Groomers run school districts, etc. At some point, we the people lost our nerve and started playing nice to the ghouls at the fringes. Now a significant proportion of society doesn't even know what our values are anymore. Our words float past them uselessly. They occupy a fictional world in their own minds built upon an obsessive self-worship that leaves no room for growth, introspection, challenge, or reflection. And this long process of decay has led us to the left's spiteful erasure of normal people and normal life through an incessantly combative and aggressive campaign of demographic replacement, grooming, religious erasure, social regulation, media propaganda, and so on. Eventually, the normal people are all coerced by social bayonets to adopt the new inverted social order. Those norms of behavior, which comprise the eternal bonds that once held the structure together, are shattered. Trust collapses and society begins to fray. The left's resentment of normality spirals into where nothing matters to them except eliminating anything that reminds them of the traditions that they've come to revile. Joining Trump's normalcy requires an understanding of all of those old, eternal human behavioral truths that so many Democrats have lost touch with. Make America great again also means making America normal again. This is a battle for the heart and soul of our country. We either win and bring the country back to its norms and traditions, or we lose and submit to the totalitarian left who will destroy us one way or the other. We must not yield or submit, but defy and build. President Trump said this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. So, save the country or submit to the left's tyranny. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any others that would like to speak? Mr. Revelis.
Roberto Revelis, resident of Gold Canyon, an admittedly leftist in the political spectrum, a defender of the Constitution, a defender of the peaceful transfer of presidential power as mandated by the U.S. Constitution. Those are values. We are seeing today the result of people who advocate violence. I have never advocated violence myself. I've been confronted by violent-prone individuals who have tried to intimidate me in public demonstrations. Violence that's being promoted openly today, that's affecting all of society. We see it affecting nice neighborhoods in Gilbert. We see it affecting civic engagement by people at call to the public. And we see it perpetrated, openly advocated by State Senator Wendy Rogers, who openly advocates for physical violence against political adversaries and attracted bipartisan censorship of her at the state legislature. So I make no apologies for being a leftist who dares to protect the Constitution against a presidential candidate who openly promoted insurrection on January 6, 2021, and who has openly, publicly stated that he would practice dictatorship on day one if he were to be reelected. A presidential candidate who has said, yes, let's ignore the Constitution. So I plead with those of you who are the moral leaders of our community politically to stand up and reject violence to our moral virtues, violence physically against political adversaries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there any others that would like to come forward from the public? Okay. Leo, if I could give direction to staff on the item that Christine Lane brought up, if they could kind of look that over and along with the graph that she provided. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then come back and give us a report. We will now close. There was nobody else, right? We're going to close now the call to the public, and we'll move on to item number 11. This is a public hearing and discussion approval, disapproval of resolution number 091824, ordering an abandonment of an extinguishment of an easement. Boy, you were quicker than I didn't see you sneak up on me. Celeste, you want to talk about this?
Sure. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Celeste Garza, Deputy Public Works Director for Development Services. Item 11 is abandonment of a portion of El Camino Viejo Road. This is located in Queen Valley. It's a piece of roadway that stretches from the Florence Junction to Entrada del Oro development. This section of easement that we have is located across some private parcels. Let me see if I can move this. Oh, there we go. Not too far. To the north of it and to the south of these private parcels, the old road, I guess we could say, runs through state land. So most of it traverses state land. It used to be the old US 60 route. ADOT gave that to us once they built the US 60, so this is the transfer of ownership from them to us. The property owner is located right there in that triangle piece that you see. There isn't much developable area for him to be able to build upon, so he requested that we abandon 25 feet of that existing 50 feet that we believe we have an easement. This would retain ownership of 65 feet on El Camino Viejo. So typically that would reserve the rights for a future extra lane if we ever needed to build anything else out there. It has remained a 2-lane corridor for as long as I've been with the county and probably many years before that. We just completed a bridge project to the north of here in which that bridge was built only for a 2-lane facility as well. So the petitioner did receive all the required surrounding signatures. However, I'm going to read into the record one property owner who did sign the petition but has provided some opposition documents as well. So I'll read that as well. Utilities did agree to the abandonment, and staff still recommends the partial abandonment of this section. So let me read 2 letters of opposition that came before the clerk's office. Both of them are property owners located on parcel D, I think D and F. No, I'm sorry. One of them is located on the parcel that is to the north of the blue parcel that you see there. And then one petitioner was the one that signed the petition. He owns D and F. So I'll read the one to the north of there first. He resides at 971 South El Camino Viejo, Queen Valley, Arizona 85118. Honorable Board of Supervisors, we would like to go on record that we strongly object to the right-of-way abandonment of the attached legal file, which is a map of this, and it's also located on your agenda. This parcel of land is on El Camino Viejo and should not be abandoned, but should be preserved as traffic increases for current and future residents. And the residents' names are Roger and Damaris Gray. And then the second was the one that signed the petition but then submitted the opposition. The gentleman's name is Alan Mercami. Address provided was 1075 South El Camino Viejo, Queen Valley, Arizona 85118. Honorable Board of Supervisors, in solidarity with a couple of my neighbors, I go on record before you to object to the above-mentioned resolution that would forever give up the county's right of way on land beside a public road to a private entity. I believe that this right-of-way was reserved in the first place for the not foreseeable probabilities that vehicular traffic will increase as residents increase, and that the future utilities may develop which might necessitate, for example, higher tech buried cable fiber optics. With the proposed abandonment, perhaps one of these eventualities might be accommodated equitably, but likely not both. There are also some concerns about how this issue arose and how the whole process moves, but I do not question that. If this is how it works, then this is how it works. Thank you for your consideration. Alan. I am happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Go ahead, Supervisor Surdy.
So the folks that were semi-objecting there, we are reserving to make a lane or utilities, so they're a little bit misinformed or overly worried?
I think they're concerned that the 2 lanes or potential 3 lanes may not accommodate the amount of traffic that could be generated. Potentially, I guess, if state land were to ever sell, or for example. There is some proposed development that's located south of this location. It's called the Ranch 160 development that you might see soon, or you have seen. I'm not quite sure. But there isn't anything that we know of that is where a development parcel.
So that traffic south of there would never even reach here?
Unless they had, for some reason, to get to the Entrada del Oriole area, I would see them traveling. It would be easier to go south to US 60.
And on the southern part of this road, we still do reserve rights to do 4 lanes if needed?
We do. We would have a total of 65 feet. We have 40 feet to the east, and we would reserve 25 of the 50 to the west.
Okay.
Supervisor Miller, did you have a question?
That's
just the way
65 feet, yeah. If you may,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, 65 feet would give you 2 travel lanes and a turn lane?
Correct.
Is what you're looking at there.
Mhm.
It would be reserved.
Correct.
Okay. Supervisor Kavanaugh, you still on? Do you have any questions?
I am on. I do not have any questions.
Okay. Okay, this is a call to the public, and so we've got 2 letters of opposition that you read. Is there somebody here you would like to speak?
Yes, if I could.
You bet. Come on up.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and Board of Supervisors, I'm the property owner who owns that cockamamie-shaped piece of property that looks like a slice of pie or pizza. I would like to say that I originally bought the property in 2004. It was supposed to be a retirement property for my family. At the time when I purchased it, on the information provided me by the title companies and such, there was nothing there. There was no easement at all. Then a couple years back, when I went to look into start to developing the property, I was informed that there was this easement, and upon my investigation, what I found was that the easement was transferred over to Pinal County from the state, I believe, in 1977. It was, for some reason, lumped in with the 60, which had this 100-foot easement established on it, and for some reason, this piece of property was carried over onto that. Since my purchase of the property in 2003, the road has remained a two-lane road, and it will probably remain to be a two-lane road into the unseeable future. I don't expect anything really to happen out there. It's state land to the west of me. There's El Trado del Oro, but it's a good distance away from my property. I do not think that this road is actually going to be widened, but if it is, you have the easements to widen the road and to expand as need be. And by the time that comes, I'll be long gone from this earth. So, but I would really appreciate it. I did get all the signatures from the various property owners, and I understand their concern, but honestly, I don't see anything really happening out here that's going to make a difference. I would just really like to have an extra 25 feet so I can develop the property and have a place to retire. And I would appreciate your vote in this matter, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Paul Harry.
Yeah, Supervisor Miller. He might have a question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just want to verify that because an odd-shaped lot like that would be challenging for setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The extra 25 feet would give you the ability to have some kind of a setback on a building there of some type.
Yes, that is correct.
So that's the purpose of needing this.
Yeah, I'm looking at putting a home on there, and that extra 25 feet would just make it to be a lot easier to do. I have to set it back a fair distance as it is, but I think I can easily be within the easement confines for any type of home building out there.
With or without the 25 feet, do you know the distance of the widest part of your pizza pie?
Yeah, the widest, if you can bear with me for 1 second. Okay. The length of the property against the desert there is 665 feet.
Wow.
The base, the widest part it looks to be 158 feet. And of course, the north end, or excuse me, the south end is 20 feet. So it expands to, like I say, 158 feet at the base.
And then you would add the 25 feet, so give you.
No, that would actually include my old map that I have here that I'm showing is just where the easement is.
Okay, that's with the 25 feet added in.
Yes, that would include the 25 feet according to this map.
150 feet. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I'm looking at the parcel lines, and the line doesn't seem to line up with the parcel above it, the 104-456-003A. The parcel line appears to be in the middle of the road. I'm trying to figure that out. If I can see through that green shading there, looks like it's right in the middle of the road, according to that and Google Earth.
Yeah, the easement, to the best of my knowledge, is that where the property is divided is actually the center of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes from the center of over to my property, and then according to the people on the other side as well. That's the way it was established back in the day.
So is that the base number that you had the 660 some odd feet on the west side, and then the north end, you said it was 100 and something feet? Is that to the middle? Is that then to the middle of the road?
Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah, it would go from the middle of the road all the way to the
north-south line there.
To the north land. Now, what was the other thing I was going to say? Now there is a 25-foot easement for a proposed road running deer that was there when I originally bought the property. So that's was there. But like I say, when I originally bought this property, there was nothing. If I had known there was this huge easement, I might have thought about looking elsewhere, but I didn't. So I ended up purchasing the property, and now, like I say, I'm looking to build a retirement home out there. Something small. I'm not looking for anything huge, but
it's going to have to be small.
But the thing is that I can run the home, on a north-south boundary so that I can meet the easements that are required.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Is there any other questions or any other comments before we? Okay, seeing that there's Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like the gentleman had a problem with his title sometime in years back, and that's why they have title insurance. And this is one of the few cases where we actually have an objection to an abandonment of an easement. So it's my understanding from the conversation that the owner can fit a house on this property without the extra 25 feet. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can you ask the question again? Celeste, you want to come up on this one? Supervisor Kavanaugh, can you ask that question again?
Sure thing. Based on the current size of the property, a house can be built on it. And it's my understanding that the 25 feet isn't required to build a house. It would still fit, number one. I want to know if that's correct. And number two, the gentleman, I believe, said there was a problem. He had received bad information from the title company. And I wondered if he had gone back to the title company to address this issue with them.
I thought about it when I found out that this originally happened, and it sort of put me between a rock and a hard place, because by the time I found out about this, almost 20 years had passed. I've been paying property taxes year after year on the property. And then when I went to start development, I found out about this easement. But I looked at the situation, and I talked with an attorney. And the problem is that I'm probably going to get a lot of blowback from the title company because of the years that were involved and the cost that it would take me to hire an attorney to process thing. Honestly, if I could just get the 25 feet, it would just give me plenty of room to go ahead and put something on the property, and it'll raise my property taxes, which means the county makes more money. I got to pay all the impact fees and the permits and things like that. So the fact is that it would be much easier for me to just get approval so I could move forward, and that's what I'm asking.
Okay. Celeste, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Chairman, I don't have the specifics of what the setbacks would be in this zoning without, conferring with our planning department. Know that they're here.
Coming up to back you up right now.
Well, that's great. See, Brent, we love your support. I couldn't tell you whether.
Okay.
For Supervisor Kavanaugh's question about whether I don't think it's buildable without this abandonment.
Yeah.
It is very narrow, and I'm almost positive he'd have to work through the variance process with the setback. So I'm going to let Brent take.
Did you have?
Well, I think the question really is, what is the distance with the 25 and without the 25 across what would line up with, what is it, Running Deer? Yeah, Running Deer Road, the Drive.
Yeah.
So that east-west line, there's a distance.
The 158.77 feet to the center of the easement.
To the center of the easement.
Or center of the road, I'm sorry.
The center of the road.
It includes the 20.
Oh, wow. So you start subtracting all of that out of there. That's really narrow.
So what kind of acreage would this
provide? It's 1.37 acres.
Additional.
In total with the abandonment.
Okay.
The abandonment.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. I'll do the best that I can, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, off the seat of my pants. Very, very difficult situation in terms of the layout of this lot, the size of the lot and the width. Pretty familiar with this area. I believe this property would be zoned GR, or general rural. Setbacks for GR would be 20, 20, 10, and 10. So doing a little bit of quick math here, if that was 155 feet wide, and she said 158, but if it was 155 wide, the easement's essentially 50 feet to the property line or the center line of the road. asking to abandon 25 feet of that. So you take the 155, as you said, Supervisor, minus the 25, and then you add 20 feet on each side for setback. You've got a pretty small building even with the abandonment. Without it, it's exceedingly difficult. It's very narrow, and then you have to take into consider the 25 feet that I believe was mentioned earlier. That's the road easement on the north, which makes that 158 feet go down commensurate linearly for that 25 feet. So it's even narrower 25 feet to the south. And then you have to have an additional 10-foot setback from the north. Makes it even narrower. It's a very difficult lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, just a quick question, and not to really throw flies in this ointment. The property just to the north and east of that has a home or some building right next to the green there. Wouldn't that be too close? I don't want to stir in the pot too badly, but
yeah,
looking at that, how'd that happen?
We had setbacks.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. That's a good question.
Chairman, Supervisor McClure, El Camino Viejo, the old road, is an old historic road with documents that date back very old. So it's very hard to take that green line that you see on our graphic system to be super accurate. What we did was map exactly what we knew with title documents for what crossed Mr. Harry's parcel. So north and south of there, it's very hard to, we really need to invest some resources in doing some evaluation for the entire corridor all the way from Florence Junction to Entrada del Oro, just to get back the old records that when the state originally purchased the right-of-way before 77 when they gave it to us. The records they provided to us when they abandoned the highway were very slim to none in detail, we'll say.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Is this road paved right now?
It is. It is a chip-sealed road.
It's a chip-sealed road, 2 lanes.
Correct.
Okay.
In this location, it is, yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's a viejo.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Can I get a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Chair. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Chairman.
we did have public hearing.
If we can close it.
To close it.
Close
Oh,
it. Anybody else?
Anybody else from the public want to speak? Then I'll close the public hearing. Now, go ahead. Oh, man. You missed it by that much. No, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, George Ardondo, Coolidge. What I see there with not having all the details there is like you're potentially opening Pandora's box for the people north and south wanting to get another 25 feet, assuming that road is never going to be widened and all that. I would just throw that out. I don't know the specific part of this, where this is at in the county. And if it's not going to be developed and it's just a 2-lane, great. But if there's any potential for it to grow, depending what's south and north of this community, and everybody's going to say, well, he got 25 feet, and I want to get mine 25 feet up and down the line. So I would just caution that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're already in the danger zone anyway with that one house sitting where it's at, from what I can see. No, it's all right. I think we're okay.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, the fact is that I agree with what the gentleman said as far as the fact that the other people who are adjoining this particular piece of property would have to go through the same process that I've gone to ask for them. The house that somebody mentioned that was in that green area was destroyed a long time ago. It's not only there, but I have talked with all of the neighbors around the area. And the gentleman to the north, he's back east, but I imagine he's going to, look into developing the property. Of course, he has a normal piece of property. So the fact is that, for the record, I bought this property from Vinton Peck, back in 2004. And like I say, it is what it is, but I would appreciate it if we could reduce it so I can really look into, putting a small home out there. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Okay, any other further amongst the board? We've closed the public hearing now, for sure. Okay. Do we have a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 091824-RD 24-043.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, ayes have it.
Okay.
Okay, we're on to item number 12. Yes, sir. Oh, we're going to take a short recess. Okay. Oh, keep going? All right, all right.
All right with me.
We're good with that, too. So we're not going to recess. We're going to go ahead, Leo.
Leo's leaving, too.
You have to recess.
4 minutes.
Okay, item number 12. This has a public hearing component to it. This is discussion, approval, disapproval of substantial amendments to the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Consolidated Report plans. Heather, did you
Yes. Good morning, Chairman.
fill in
members of
the blank spots there?
Yes, I will hopefully try that. Heather Patel with the Office of Budget and Finance. I'm actually closing out your whole agenda today, all my stuff. I'm so excited about that. This item is a substantial amendment to two of our action plans. Whenever we do something that may cancel a project or make a significant change in a project, we have to do a public hearing to notify the public, and then we submit documentation to HUD to let them know. So what's in your packet are the pages of our action plan that we propose making the changes to. Really, it's two projects that had to be canceled. Through our program, we have 4 local governments that are part of our program, and because of that, they are able to submit an application and receive funding to do a local project. For our fiscal year 22 year, Mammoth submitted a project, and they were unable to do the project, so that is what we are proposing is being canceled. And subsequently, we moved the funds over to a project that was currently going on, which is the Randolph Community Project, where we did sidewalks and curb and gutter. The next project was actually over 2 fiscal years, fiscal year 22 and 23. We had allocated some funding towards a rental development project. That rental development project was in Casa Grande with a nonprofit. Why can't I think of the name of them right now? Sorry. Anyhow, that project ended up getting canceled from their side, and so we took that money and we reallocated it towards our owner-occupied housing rehab program, as well as a small portion going to a different rental project that we hope to see into fruition. And I am open to answer any questions.
Is there any questions? Supervisor Kavanaugh, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody from the public? We're going to open up a public hearing now. Anybody from the public wish to speak concerning this item? Okay, seeing that there's none, we'll close the public hearing. And any further discussion by the board or an action moving forward? Can we get an action moving forward?
Sure. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item 12 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Supervisor Kavanaugh, that was an aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll be exiting the meeting at this time.
Okay, thanks.
Everyone else has left the.
All of us is left.
Oh, there's 3 of us.
Yeah, we still have a quorum. Unless we don't like the end. No, I'm kidding. Okay, item number 13, public hearing. This has a component, a public hearing component. This is about discussion, approval, disapproval of the program year 2023 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report. You're back on.
I am still here. Thank you, Chairman. The HUD requires that we report on the projects and progress that we've made each each program year, which actually is July to June. So what I'm reporting on today is the period of July 1st of 2023 to June 30th of 2024. And during that time frame, we did projects that were dating back from our fiscal year 19 funding all the way up to our fiscal year 23 funding. And we spent over $3.5 million. Under the Community Development Block Grant Program, we finished the improvements to the Senior Center in San Manuel. In Eloy, one of our participating communities, finished improvements at Jones Park. In Florence, they did some ADA sidewalk improvements. In Maricopa, they actually did 2 years of funding towards the Heritage District, where they did some street improvements. And we did do the sidewalks and curb and gutter in Randolph. And we also completed 4 housing rehabilitation projects. Under our home dollars, we completed 5 housing rehabilitation projects. And then we did receive home ARP dollars some years back, which was related to the American Rescue Plan Act. And under that, we funded some supportive services against abuse for domestic violence services, and HOHP for services out at their transition center. And then we provided funding to a new LEAF to do tenant-based rental assistance throughout the county. Under our Emergency Solutions Grant, we provided rapid rehousing to 33 people, and we also did renovations to HOHP's transition center out there. And that is what we did this last program here. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from any of the board members? Supervisor, oh, he's gone. Okay. This is a public hearing component, so I'll open up for anybody from the public that would like to come and speak. Okay, seeing that there's none, I'll close the public hearing portion and ask for a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 13 as presented.
We have a motion and a second?
Beat you.
Yeah, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You're in. Item number 14. Discussion, approval, disapproval, and presentation of Pinal County housing initiatives. The Pinal County Housing Task Force has met to discuss initiatives on housing to demonstrate the county's commitment. Heather?
Thank you again, Chairman Goodman. I do have Brent here as my partner in crime. We have put together a interdepartment task force to talk about housing-related issues and what we can do to support and encourage housing. As part of that, we have submitted an application to the Arizona Department of Housing to do a housing plan. That is recently awarded, and we had brought that agreement to you some time back. We are working on that, and it is planned to be before you in May of 2026. But what we wanted to do is just sort of outline what we have done and where we plan on going. So in this plan that we are going to be doing is we want to be able to look at and address things like how can we create and preserve the units that we have? How can we bring our supply in line with the market and what's going on in our neighborhoods? We also wanted to look at how individual homeowners or households can access private market homes and protect any of our homeowners who have homes that are not quite up to standard so that they're not displaced, and that is really through our housing rehab program. and also look at how we can grow our housing supply based on our demand, and provide really, in concert with the whole concept of live, work, play here in Pinal County. We want to be able to provide economic opportunities that are accessible by our neighborhoods, in and around our neighborhoods. So that is what the plan is hopefully going to be looking at and providing some information on. What we also did was wanted to sort of accumulate what we have done over the years that help support or look at housing. Some years back, we did do a needs assessment on our housing, and there were some goals that were identified in that assessment that we have slowly tried to address as the years go on. One of them is really increasing our capacity for building housing programs within the county, finding some funding resources, looking at our planning and zoning processes, encouraging private investment, and also identifying and creating community-based programs. In our comprehensive plan, that is a really big document and has a whole section on housing. And within there, we just pulled out some of the goals that address housing. For example, looking at our mixture of housing types and being able to, again, respond to market trends with a mix of quality housing. And we want to maximize our development opportunities really where the infrastructure already exists or is easily accessible, and looking at some infill opportunities. Those are some key highlights. When we did our 5-year consolidated plan for our HUD funding, we also did our analysis of impediments to fair housing. And within that section of the document, we worked with our consultant, and she identified some areas that we wanted to look at to potentially make some changes because there was the thought that those were impeding access to housing. Some of those things may be really to assess our demand for different types of housing, to which this plan is hopefully going to do. We wanted to be able to, of course, diversify our housing options, and there were some more planning-related items like looking at our impact fees, looking at our permitting process, looking at the potential for creating special districts, and working more, with our one-stop shop and getting people in and out through the process quickly. And then there were some more education-related things for our stakeholders and developers to help with special types of housing. Subsequently, or kind of simultaneously, We Serve, who is the Realtor Association over in Casa Grande, they did a assessment of their own, and I just put in the key takeaways that they had, but I wanted to pull out a few, like they thought that we needed some more tools to facilitate housing development, and look at zoning changes to help with getting more housing. And then there were some regulatory barriers that were pulled out from this survey that they did, some around ADUs and pushback during the rezoning process for multifamily and affordable housing projects. Other documents that we looked at were the housing needs assessment and our social determinants of health. In case you're not aware of what that is, that's basically a list or a grouping of things that help determine our health, and one of them is housing. I'm sure you've probably heard that there are zip codes that have a shorter life expectancy because of their housing issues, and this is throughout the nation. And then, of course, there was the State of Arizona Housing Supply Study. What we wanted to do with our task force is identify best practices, things that we can incorporate here in Pinal County. One thing is our housing plan study that we are doing right now. Like I said, will come before you in May of 26. We wanted to look at some zoning and development requirements, and certainly this is where Brent comes in. He can talk about that if you have any questions. But one thing that we are excited about, which is in your packet and on for you to consider today, is an agreement with Yavapai County. They have a program called Home of Your Own, where they have pre-designed, pre-approved plans for different types of housing. They have a few housing options. And the idea is that they put it on their website, free for anybody within Yavapai County to take and build a home on a piece of land that they have. So this is to help remove some of the barriers with going through the planning and zoning process. It removes the time frame. It helps reduce costs so they don't have to go out and design and get plans of their own. And so the agreement before you is for us to work with Yavapai County to basically borrow these plans, put them on our website ourselves, and put them out for Pinal County residents to be able to use. They will be, of course, reviewed and approved through our normal process before we put them on the website. And certainly, people will still have to go through a more modified, smaller, streamlined process because, of course, we have to make sure that the lot can fit the home that they want to put there, or that it's zoned right, or all those other things. But having these pre-approved plans is one step ahead. Next thing is down in Tucson, they have similar sort of thing like Yavapai County, but it's specific to ADUs. And so we want to look at an option of having pre-approved plans for those. And then finally, another sort of best practice is down payment assistance. Well, we can do that type of program through our home funding with HUD. And that is offering down payment assistance to our residents so that they can get into a home. Essentially, what we are wanting to see is, a further commitment by the county to, encourage and support private investment in a variety of different housing options in economically viable areas. Like I said, areas where we see the infrastructure, it's easy to get access to, where we have, jobs, places for people to live, work, and play. While we encourage the integration of economically sustainable housing into our existing developments and neighborhoods so that we avoid any economic segregation, and that we incorporate economically sustainable housing and housing affordability into all of our planning and zoning processes and decisions. So along that, what we would like is to encourage different other creative solutions than the ones I just mentioned with our best practices, like looking at more infill development, looking at redevelopment opportunities, ADUs, higher densities, all of these different options here. So I would be happy to answer any questions, or of course pull Brent up here for the more complex ones.
Supervisor McClure.
Quick question. So can you back up one page there on your presentation?
This one?
So looking at allowing duplex, triplex units in single-family zone land, higher densities and parking requirements, I can see Santan Valley coming after us with pitchforks and torches. Just saying,
Yeah, they already are.
No,
I think when you talk about Santan Valley, I think it's the fact that, for me personally, is that we're taking commercial property when our retail, we just don't have it. And so I think that's the biggest thing with people that are in Santan Valley. That's the general consensus I get, is that we're turning commercial into residential. I don't think there's any of us out there that would say that we don't need that type of housing. It's just that taking our commercial properties and turning them into high density.
Oh, I see it in all the letters that I've received.
right,
don't do that. We don't need high density. We don't want that. I mean,
I'm not trying to jab you either, brother. So, okay. No, I have a question, and maybe you do down the road here. I've heard Supervisor Miller say this numerous times, and it's something that I can remember at one time. I think we built a home with sweat equity. We did some of the work. I think we did the baseboards and the painting in our home, and that was the very first home as a kid that I can remember. That's one of the things that we did. We did a lot of that stuff. And then my dad got smart, went out and got his license, and then we started building homes. So, but anyway, is that something that is that something, because you're looking at other creative opportunities or creative solutions to that? I'm not a big proponent of handouts at all. And so if there was some way with some type of like a down payment, you're talking about the assisting on a down payment, if there was something to it to where if they had the ability to go in and paint part of the house or paint the interior or something like that.
Sounds like
that's
Habitat
just
for
me.
Humanity.
Yeah, that's Habitat for Humanity is a big part. They get a lot of those individuals out there to do that. So, Supervisor Miller, you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, if I may. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of the stuff I've been asking for
this
12 years now. So we're getting there.
You don't have to run again then.
Right. I won't be, so don't worry about that. But and there's a lot of advantages to kind of going down this path with these kind of programs. You know, I see the advantage of infill in areas where, you know, it'll help bring up the value of a neighborhood or kind of change the complex or the looks of that neighborhood. I've seen it work, and I think it's very good. The sweat equity or the type of programs, they do take quite a bit of management, you know, to do something like that. You'd have to expand even further on something like this. But the challenges of getting a set of plans through our operation here, having standard plans available to move forward. I suggested to Habitat for Humanity. They'd never even thought of it. I said, you have standard plans? They go, yeah. I said, bring those all in. We'll approve them on the front end to make this process a lot faster. They were like, oh, we're going to do that. So hopefully they're getting around and going to do that. But please just reach out to me, ask me to help with ideas and thoughts on how to go forward with this process, because affordable housing is almost an oxymoron now. I don't know that it is affordable any longer. And I do think that we can take care of some blight. I think we can take care of, you know, we've made arrangements where you might tear down a building, but that lot would go into an inventory and available for a project for a family down the road. So there's all kinds of little things that we can look at going forward, and I'm excited to see that we're moving forward with this type of a project, and hopefully we can be successful in the next 4 years.
Thank you.
I think I heard a sound of volunteerism of being on that task force from Supervisor Miller. Did I not?
I did write it down.
Okay, all right.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay, good. Supervisor Surtee, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Wait,
Yes.
we're not done because we need to make a decision on this one. So do I have a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve and move forward with item number 14 as presented.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather, for sticking it out with us. Item number 15, discussion of board members' requests for future agenda items and or reports to be presented at upcoming meetings. Is there anybody on the board that would like to see any future items?
I have nothing at this time. I'm sure I'll.
Supervisor Miller.
Yeah, for future agenda items, I would like to have a study session and an update on our quote-unquote Acela program that we spent a lot of money on. How much faster are we processing permits now? How much, what benefit did we get from that expenditure? So I'd really like to see something there. And another item I'm just kind of curious, and Mr. Volkmer kind of brought it up. We have 2,200 employees. We also have requests for positions all the time. Can we get some kind of a breakdown on
what percentage were filled in what
yeah,
departments?
And I don't know. I don't worry too much about turnover rate, but I'd kind of like to know where we would be if we were maxed out with all our employees, and if there's any places where it's light and they need help recruiting. Not that we'd be doing that ourselves, but just kind of an update on our staffing for the county.
Actually, Supervisor Miller, there is one of those studies that's already occurred and is occurring and has occurred. There's a lot of information on that.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen it yet.
Can you share it with us?
I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen,
All right.
but I've seen it. I mean,
Okay. All right.
That's good to know that it's in progress.
it is. So you're on the right track. Yes.
Supervisor Surdy, did you have anything?
No.
Okay. Well, then we are adjourned. Thank you.